Despite a drop in border apprehensions in the 2 days following the expiration of Title 42, the Border Patrol still expects the crisis at the southern border to escalate. Cities throughout the country are increasingly overwhelmed by the sheer number of migrants seeking shelter. The Biden administration, well, they continue to lack a plan, and that's become more and more evident. As the situation deteriorates, the Biden administration has taken to blaming Congress for the chaos. So how should Congress respond? Joining me now to discuss this and more is Senator Ron Johnson of Wisconsin. He serves on the Senate Homeland Security Committee, the Senate Budget Committee, and the Senate Finance Committee. Senator Johnson, welcome back to the program.
Hello, Tony. Great to be back.
But before we jump into the immigration issue and the debt ceiling, I want to get your response. Special Counsel John Durham's report was made public this afternoon. And in the 300-page plus report, he points to the DOJ and the FBI, quote, failed to uphold their mission of strict fidelity to the law in the Trump-Russia probe. Your thoughts?
Well, it doesn't surprise me that John Durham would reach that conclusion, certainly the conclusion I reached. It should shock every American because he also reveals the fact that President Obama, Vice President Biden, CIA Director John Brennan were all briefed in August of 2016 that the Hillary Clinton campaign had a scheme to falsely accuse Donald Trump of colluding with Russia. So the FBI knew, for example, the Steele dossier contained Russian disinformation, and yet they continued on with their investigation. They set up special counsel. They put America through the political turmoil of literally the entire 4 years of the Trump administration. And the real question on the table right now is, will the media hold anybody accountable? Will the media hold itself accountable? Because they've been covering this up for certainly the Democrats, the Bidens, and for themselves for years now.
Juxtapose that with how they've treated news related to the Biden family.
Well, again, it's literally part and parcel of the exact same operation. The individuals in the FBI that exonerated Hillary Clinton went on to Crossfire Hurricane investigation. Again, that was a fraudulent investigation. Then the FBI seized Hunter Biden's laptop in December 2019. We have whistleblowers that said higher ups in the FBI said you will not look at that Hunter Biden laptop. We also have whistleblowers from the FBI that said that the FBI developed a scheme in August of 2020 to downplay any derogatory information on Hunter. Fast forward to when the laptop was revealed, then you had Mike Morrell at the direction of current Secretary of State Anthony Blinken working for the Biden campaign, come up with a fraudulent letter signed by 51 intelligence officials. But also, we now know the CIA tried to solicit signatures from current CIA employees. So this is one continuous operation of the left, of Democrats, of the Biden campaign, the Hillary Clinton campaign, to impact and interfere in our election using falsehoods across the board, election after election.
So, Senator Johnson, let me ask you a question I think is on the minds of a lot of our viewers and listeners. How can we have confidence in our own government when we see things like this?
We can't. I don't. I've been, a subject to some of their intelligence operations where Senator Grassley and I both got unsolicited secure briefings in August of 2020. That same month, they developed a scheme to protect Hunter Biden, telling that we were targets of Russian disinformation. And then they leaked that briefing to smear us. Again, understand that the FBI was setting up the sabotage of the Hunter Biden laptop revelation. And of course, during the entire year of our investigation, we were being accused by the media and also Democrats, our ranking members, of soliciting and disseminating Russian disinformation. Does that sound familiar? When we issued our report, it was obvious there was no Russian disinformation. The media downplayed it. So, there's nothing to see here. There's no crimes being charged. We laid out the case against the Bidens very effectively in terms of the vast web of financial dealings, the suspicious fund transfers, all the LLCs, the conflict of interest. And yet the media just completely ignored it and covered up for the Bidens. They're continuing to do so.
Speaking of disinformation, I want to play a clip of who I call the Senate scare leader, Senator Chuck Schumer, on the floor earlier today talking about the debt ceiling. Clip 11, please.
It would be a catastrophe No one should play with it. No one should flirt with it. No one should hold it hostage and say, unless you do this, we're going to default, because the consequences of default are just awful.
So, Senator, correct me if I'm wrong, but I've not heard any Republicans saying they want to default on America's debt.
No, in fact, the House acted responsibly. Individuals who have never voted for a debt ceiling increase, I would include myself in that group, support and voted for a bill that increased the debt ceiling, but attaches to it, basic fiscal controls. The least that we can do is, reset the baseline to 2022 levels at $6.2 trillion. Now, Tony, in 2019, we spent $4.4 trillion. So the House is being more than reasonable. They have some pro-growth elements of that, the REINS Act, certainly certain permitting reforms so that people can build our economy and provide good jobs. So now it's Democrats, it's Schumer, it's Biden that are playing with default. We're not. The Republicans passed a very reasonable increase in debt ceiling. Schumer should take it up. We should pass in the Senate, and President Biden ought to sign it into law.
One other point they're bringing up, the president has said this, his new economic advisor was saying this over the weekend, saying, oh, yeah, we agree, we should have these conversations, but it should be during the appropriations process. But they're not telling the truth, because it's been since 2015 when we've actually gone through the normal appropriations process. So we'll never get to these issues.
No, again, the debt ceiling was designed to force fiscal controls to be put in place in case you have to increase it. That's the reason we have a debt ceiling. To just pass a clean one is grossly irresponsible. But again, we ought to pass the House bill, and then we should step up to the plate and do real appropriations, get them on each chamber's floor, debate them, pass amendments, come together in conference committees, and actually pass appropriation bills before the fiscal year starts. What a concept that would be, huh?
It would be. It would be. Very quickly, Senator, I want to get your thoughts. The administration kind of saying, not as big a problem as everybody said it was going to be at the southern border.
Well, remember, President Obama declared it a humanitarian crisis when we were apprehending about 2,000 people a day. President Trump had to deal in 1 month with almost 4,000 people a day. It's been averaging over 8,000 people a day. I know before Title 242 was relaxed or ended, we were getting 10 or 11,000 people a day just because it's backed off to 8,000, and now it's not a problem. No, this is an enormous disaster that has been caused by the Biden administration. We'd pretty well gotten the border under control. We'd shut down the flow of unaccompanied children, family units abusing our asylum laws. But Biden blew that open. This is completely his fault. This is his crisis. They won't even admit it's a problem.
What should we be anticipating next at the southern border?
A continued flow. And what's most dangerous is the people that get away. The flow of drugs, the sex trafficking, the human trafficking, but the almost 2 million now known or unknown gotaways that are in this country during the Biden administration alone. It's at least about 1.4 million, but nobody knows the unknown gotaways. This is a tremendous problem, the gang activity, the drug trafficking. But the fact that the mainstream media is not covering it adequately just shows their complicity and corruption as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Senator Johnson, always great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Have a great evening.
You too.